My name is Tyler, and this is the How You Built This Indy podcast. In this podcast, I sit down with some of the most successful founders and entrepreneurs in Indianapolis and deconstruct how they have built what they have built. My goal is to inspire you to build something truly impactful wherever you are. All right, today on the podcast, I sat down with Kenny Hall. Kenny Hall runs LIV Indy. LIV Indy is a boutique brokerage in Indianapolis that specializes in investment real estate. They're also a property management firm, and they have over 200 units under management. We get into the nitty-gritty of scaling a real estate business, Kenny's personal background, and some tips for new investors out there. I really enjoyed this one, and I hope you do too. How old are you actually?
Just turned 30.
30. Okay, right on. So yeah, I'd love to hear kind of a little bit about your background. Like, where did you grow up?
My background, I was born in San Diego, lived there 2 years, so I can claim it as blood, but didn't get to grow up there. But moved to Springfield, Illinois at 2 or 3 years old and grew up there.
I believe you went to Indiana Wesleyan
That's
University.
right. Yep.
And what was your major again?
I was marketing.
Marketing. But you were kind of interested in architecture?
Yep. So came in as business administration and just decided this is the route I'm going to go. I can always be an architect if I need to have additional schooling, but going to go the business route. So chose that and then had a couple marketing classes and I loved them and found that strategic marketing was something I really liked. So how do you get in front of people? How do you understand audiences? How do you create engaging content that's going to be something that resonates with people? And it's a little bit of sales, but I think it was more of an honest way of getting into sales because I didn't really want to trick people into buying things. It was more about how do you inspire people? You make them believe in something you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it's funny because I think people think sales is a lot of like manipulation, like scripts, like how do you corner someone in? But I think I've learned this from you, and I know we'll get more into this when we get into real estate and property management, but like it's a lot more about that trust.
Yep.
Building trust, like solving people's problems genuinely.
Yeah, and
right?
I think that goes a long way. If you're into the long game of things, which I very much believe in, is relationships are the heart of sales, and that comes down to trust, and it comes with integrity and truly listening to what their goals are. And if you're a good fit, it's going to work out. If you're not, you can label that and just move forward, and that's okay.
I think for me, I'm curious to hear for you. I had to like learn this. Like I naturally thought, it's about saying the right things. It's about being persuasive, the Robert Cialdini, like influence persuasion, like marketing materials. And I realized it was like all about me. And I had to like relearn in real estate, being an agent, like, dude, it's all about them. Was that something that came natural to you or?
I think it is because I feel like I'm a natural listener before having to speak. So I like asking questions and listening to people. And I think that's a skill I bring into a sales type role is just getting to know someone, asking a lot of questions. And if at the end of the conversation, we end up leaving and I didn't say much about myself, I'm totally fulfilled.
So I know you're in real estate. You lead a property management company. You're also doing some real estate sales and investing. So far in your story, I'm hearing nothing of real estate whatsoever, completely marketing and creation. How did that switch come about?
Yeah, I never thought I'd be in real estate. My grandpa had rental portfolios and I liked real estate. I always liked houses, wanted to be an architect. And so I just thought like houses are cool. Always knew I wanted to buy a house, didn't really know what went into it. Coming out of college, I was part of the Orr Fellowship program here in Indy, started by previous Governor Bob Orr, and just looked to create a way to keep top talent in Indy rather than going to places like Chicago, Dallas, New York. And so I really benefited from that program and just creating a connection of people, like-minded entrepreneurs in those first 2 years out of college. Through that, I met a good buddy of mine, Matt Spear, and he is actually the founder of LIV Indy. And while we were in different career paths in terms of companies, I was at Car Auction Services and he was at Blue Bridge. And we were doing different things. He was doing real estate on the side as well. He was reading a lot about how to create generational wealth, how to have something that will last beyond just a paycheck, and something that creates financial freedom. Those were some of his early on goals, and just read a lot of books, read a lot of podcasts, and got started in his own real estate investing. And that's how LIV Indy was born, is more of a opportunity to be different within real estate, but also fuel a personal lifestyle at the time. So that's kind of how that started. While I am also over here at Car Auction Services in a marketing role, my dreams and aspirations were, let's be CMO. I want to be leading a marketing team. I want to be creating marketing plans, influencing people, and having conversations that are at the C level. It's more strategic than having to be doing the day to day. But that quickly changed because the career path is just, it's so long and it's so within a box and it's so corporate. And I just didn't jive with that. I had so many ideas and was being told, wait, was being told, no, those things don't work. And it's like, well, why can't we try them? Right. I think there's so much beauty to trying something and failing. It's like, fail and learn from that, and then change that the next time. Don't make the same mistake twice, but be okay trying something. And it doesn't matter what industry you're in. Multi-billion-dollar company, try new things. It's okay. But I think there's also a place for the people that come in and do a job. It just wasn't me. So I started the path towards something with a little bit more flexibility. So moved from Car Auction Services to Springbuck, so a health tech company. And the pace was a lot different. It was something that I'd come up with at Car Auction Services would take many months to implement. And it's just that kind of process. And something that you'd implement at Springbuck would take a week to finish, just quick. And I liked that pace. It's a lot of fun.
So just like kind of iterating, implementing new ideas, and that evolutionary process in business is something that you really gravitate to.
Oh, I love it. Come up with an idea and implement it, and
Yeah.
you can just do it. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Do you think that in general, and we're going to get into your, I guess, like business ownership philosophy later, but do you think that your, I guess, like desire to implement new systems comes from a more creative place or more like data-driven place?
That's a good question. I think it's probably both. I do like analyzing the data. I like seeing the results. I like to see how things perform and then watch the numbers change as they go. And then that is a true definition of, did this work or not? And you can iterate quickly. You can make quick changes. Part of marketing is testing things, right? It's let's throw together a case study and let's have everything be the same, but let's change the title on two different ones and see how it performs. Let's change the call to action on two different ones, see how it performs. And then you just look at the data and you see how it performs, and that's fun. And it's actually tangible results.
So this Matt Spear guy is interesting to you. He's doing stuff in real estate. What was he doing in real estate at the time? Like, what was his strategy?
A little bit of everything. He did some wholesales. He did some rentals on his own. He did some retail transactions, and then ended up starting a brokerage. And LIV Indy became born, and is really born, like I said, to kind of fuel some of that lifestyle, but also it was more solving a problem in the industry. He didn't see property management as being effective. Things like poor communication, really expensive fees that just weren't transparent, and then a really high amount of vacancy. And so those were things that he wanted to solve, and he did it through his portfolio and through a small customer base at the time. I think it was about 18 units, started back in 2017.
Yeah, property management definitely is one of those like notorious industries that I've been pitched on trying to join, and I've always said like, no way, you're going to get me into property management. At the time when you were kind of talking with Matt, did you think property management was going to be your thing, or did you think this was just a side thing?
I thought it was a fantastic side hustle. There was quite a bit of money made in it, and that was fun, and it fueled some quick vacations and some extra little fun things. And I was like, this is a great moneymaker. I love real estate. I love being around it. But I still had the path set. I really like marketing. I really want to be CMO. It's a little less risk adverse is what I thought at the time, climb the corporate ladder and and go that route, but didn't have any interest at the time in joining full time.
So how did you make the leap from Springbuck, where I would assume you were on a salary, to going full time into this income unknown, so to speak, position with LIV Indy? How did you make that leap?
Yeah.
What did that look like?
Yeah, good question. It was all thanks to Matt. He took a bet on me and said, "You're the right person. So you need to come in and build the business and take it to the next level. And that's going to require you leaving your job." And he gave me a 6-month salary, agreed to it. And we agreed to a start date and an end date on the salary, and said, at the end of the salary, you're 100% commission. You got to figure it out. So that was extremely frightening and exciting all at the same time. And so, part of that decision is a lot of prayer involved, and chatting with my wife about it, and a little bit of savings account as a back burner. Says, hey, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Can always go find a job. It's kind of what if you need to make money, you can go get another W-2 somewhere. But I thought, we don't have kids, we're young, why not? Let's just do it. So did it, and quit Springbuck and joined Matt full time, and it was so fun. It was he's fronting the salary, so I didn't have the money worries, and that was awesome. But it was a lot of whiteboarding, a lot of fun conversations, a lot of ideas that you quickly implement and realize they didn't work, and a lot of learning.
And what were you guys trying to do during I just imagine you guys like in this like small little cramped office with a whiteboard, like this 6 months.
Yep.
Kind of like pressed against the time, especially for Matt, who I guess is paying you probably out of his pocket type of thing. And then you with a deadline of 6 months. What were you trying to solve during that time?
Trying to solve how are you going to stand out and make your name known as a trusted property manager and someone that's going to be the best without a ton of name recognition, without a lot of experience, without a lot of time under our belt. I mean, we're 30. It's not like we're old and been doing property management for a long time. So I think we came at it from a different approach. We both have tech backgrounds, and we leverage technology to be different and push the barrier within a dated industry. Property management's been around for a long time, and there's lots of ways you can do it, but leveraging technology to be efficient and make sure that things don't fall through the cracks, keep communication abreast all the time. It's very important in a industry where people are trusting you with millions of dollars worth of assets. You have to be able to communicate well and be people that are above reproach, and make sure you're just communicating well.
And how many units did you have on that you were managing when you started?
When I started, it was 18.
18 units. And was this like just a couple portfolio managers, or was this like 18 different like owners? Like,
yeah, so it was a handful of Matt's units at the time. He had a small portfolio, and then a couple different owners.
And were you an investor? Did you own rental properties at this time?
At this time, I owned my own house.
Okay.
Yep, and that's it.
Okay. What did that play into your decision to join LIV Indy?
No, I wanted to have rental properties, but I knew it's going to take a little bit to build up that portfolio. And so we bought a property, my wife and I, in South Carmel in Home Place neighborhood. And I thought this is a great area to have a starter home, and a great area that'll be highly desirable long-term because of the school district. And so we bought that. It was a small 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,100 square feet for $152,000.
Dude.
Awesome house.
That's wild.
Yeah. So that's been a fantastic house. 2 years later, we moved out, bought in Broad Ripple, and turned it into a rental, and rented for $1,600 a month, and our mortgage was $750. So we were cash flowing really well and paying myself as property management. So, I do pay into the business for my own units because I believe in it. And it was doing really well. It was a great first rental. And so then it just grew from there.
Mm-hmm. Do you still own that Home Place rental?
I don't, actually. So just under the 5-year mark, which we lived in it for 2 years, and we sold it and made a nice profit, taking advantage of the top of the market here with the COVID prices. And didn't have to pay taxes on the profit.
Did you think that you were at the top of the market when you sold that, or was
No,
it
but I
just
thought, here's an opportunity I won't have much longer in terms of avoiding a tax bill in terms of profits. And then also, it was a strategic move. I decided in the last year to dump the profits of the business into the business and grow it instead of paying myself. So I've not taken a salary for almost a year in the business and decided to sell our home as our income.
so that's wild. So all this time you've been working for this, building out this Live Indie dream, and you really you still aren't making any money
Still,
from it.
nope.
Is there an end in sight?
Yeah, we plan on doing owner distributions come this 2023.
Okay, so you're just living off the proceeds from selling these properties,
That's right.
your own home.
And being an agent last year. So,
Right.
yep.
So what balance right now do you have between running Live Indie and being also in real estate sales?
So it's not a huge focus in terms of retail transactions for us. We're investor-minded agents. So we help investors build their portfolios. We'll represent them on market and off market deals. And primarily, my responsibility is empowering our agents to do that. So I don't do a lot of active retail. I don't do the transactions. We have 5 agents on the team that represent investors. And then we have an operations team, a leasing team, and maintenance team.
And so for people that don't know kind of real estate agency, there's not many good qualified investor agents out there, in my opinion. You know, you come to mind and probably only a handful of other people that I know of in the vast sea of tons and tons of agents. What does it mean to be an investor-minded agent?
It is definitely different. You have to know how to analyze a property. You have to know what the market rents are. You have to know what your CapEx and repair costs are going to be. So your capital expenditures are things like your roof and your HVAC and your AC, larger costs, and you have to know how to plan for those. So you're managing somebody else's investment, and you have to expect for these types of repairs to come up and know that the appreciation of the property, the rent and cash flow versus your expenses are going to offset the expenses. So
That's great. And so Live Indie, from what I can see, is kind of trying to be this almost like concierge service for investors, right?
it's a one-stop shop.
Yeah. So what does that mean, one-stop shop?
So an investor will come to us and say, hey, we've got an investment opportunity and we want to park our cash in real estate, or we want to invest into real estate and have it make us a return and hope that that's going to be better than the stock market or their 401k or other traditional investment routes, or just another way of diversifying their long-term investments. So then we help them find that property, and then we put it under management. We manage it for a small fee, and then we take care of it for them, and we monitor its performance over time. And we can be a strategic partner that will say either, hey, this isn't performing as well down the road, and we recommend you sell it, and then put the money into something else. We can be that strategic advisor along the way.
And so to kind of play devil's advocate for a second, I obviously know I think I know the answer to this as a real estate agent and a person who owns rental properties too. But to those people that say, you know, the market's inflated so much, real estate, how can that be a good investment right now at the tail end of 2022 with all this appreciation that's happening? And it seems we could be at the edge of a cliff. What are you saying to investors right now?
Yeah, good question. It is a interesting market right now, and rates keep climbing, and I think they'll continue to climb, but I think they'll fall. So real estate is a long-term investment, and now might be a hard time to buy. And I think that's true, but you have to be strategic. And I think now more than ever, you can be patient and you can be picky. And I think if you keep those two things in mind as a buyer, you're still going to find wins out there. You just have to be okay with waiting a little bit longer for the right deal, the right opportunity. Make sure you run your numbers, be conservative with them. Don't try and paint a pretty picture with your numbers and expect it to come to fruition. Just play the numbers with what we got. We have, unique opportunities with different lenders. If you go ask a credit union, maybe they'll give you a 6.5% on a portfolio instead of the mid 7s where we're at right now on a rate. So those small things will help. But yeah, use a team, use boots on the ground to make smart investment choices and know what those market rents are going to be. But in terms of Indy, it's not taking as big a hit as some of your other areas in the nation, like the California or West Florida. You're still going to see appreciation in Indy. You're still going to see prices climb, and you're still going to see rents climb. The demand is still there for rentals, and supply is still low enough that people are needing to rent. So it's a good place to be investing and a good place to continue buying even at this season. So I'd love to get into more of that sometime too.
Yeah, I think that you guys really hit the timing well in terms of Indianapolis just being this amazing city with such a bright future and narrative, and you guys really coming onto the scene, being that one-stop shop. Do you feel like you guys are kind of like in the right moment to
Mhm.
to grow and capitalize on this?
Yeah, I think so. Mostly because I think one of our values is win together, and it's it's an approach that I think investors are really appreciating right now. And I say that because some property managers will just look at their unit count. They'll just look at numbers, and they'll just look at growing their portfolio to 1,000 units under management. And while that's successful and that's on our radar, but that's not our core focus. It's win together. This is a team thing, and we want to be creating a partnership mindset where we grow with the investor and we grow too. So I think that's where we set ourselves apart, and a lot of that's achieved through the trust and the integrity that we talked about earlier.
And so for people that are listening that are like, I've never gotten into real estate, LIV Indy is like this one-stop shop. I need to maybe talk to Kenny about investing in Indy real estate. Do you work with first-time investors? Is that something that, and is that something you guys do? And how much work do you think it is to kind of do that first deal? Like, what are the things that a new investor has to think about?
Yeah, we absolutely work with first-time investors and love having those conversations. They're a lot of fun. Can be a lot like this, and just learning about the market and learning about what goals you have. But one of the biggest questions I'll ask early on in investing is, what's the why? Why are you investing? It's got to be beyond just making more money. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And it could be, you want to retire at X amount of age. You want to quit your job, or you need a little bit extra financial freedom so that you can spend more time with your kids. And family is a lot of people's why. And that's my why. And I think that if you know your why, it'll give you that extra motivation to actually pull the trigger when the time comes right, because it is scary investing and actually writing that offer, submitting that first offer. If you get under contract, now you're freaking out. Can I afford this? Will the rent actually come? Trust your team, have a good team in place, and then remember your why and do it.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that you have to have a lot of money saved up? Because I think I have a lot of friends who, that's what they say to me. Hey, when I have more capital, when I have more money, then I'll invest in real estate. What would you say to that type of person?
I don't think you always need to have more money. I think you can get started in investing in lots of different creative ways. You should look into what's called house hacking. Maybe you buy a duplex and you rent out the other side of the duplex, and you end up living almost for free, or sometimes cash flowing, surprisingly. So the rent rates are going up so high in Indy that you could rent out one half of a duplex for $1,600, and your mortgage might only be $1,500 a month or $1,200 or whatever it ends up being. So you're making a little bit of money living for free. And then I think that philosophy of investing and saving money is, whatever you were paying, don't look at that as a raise. Look at that as a way to invest and save for the next down payment. Then you end up becoming in a better position in a year or two to make that next purchase. And that next purchase, you move out of the duplex and you're able to rent that other side. Now you have two sides, and you're also living for free with your next house. So now you have 3 units, and it snowballs a lot quicker than people think.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I actually unintentionally house hacked with the first house I bought. I had 2 tenants. They're just buddies I was renting a room to, and I was living in like a net surplus of about $200 a month.
Nice.
Living for free on a pretty meager teacher salary, but it didn't seem meager because, my fixed expenses were so low.
Yeah.
So I can attest, like, the house hack can truly change someone's trajectory for the rest of their life.
Yep.
If they choose to do that and own
Nice.
real estate and have tenants, pay your mortgage down.
Yep. That's fantastic.
It's crazy. So what is your day-to-day look like? What are you focused on mostly these days?
Most of my time right now is team growth. So our team is growing, and people is a big part of a business. Business doesn't exist without the people internally. So spend a lot of time making sure the team is empowered to do what they're needing to do. They have the resources needed, answering questions, solving problems, and here to help.
That's awesome. What do you think someone who's building a team, you're building a team of agents and property managers, what advice would you give to someone who's, maybe new to building a team?
I think the classic saying of fire fast and hire slow. I think that's key. And I've run into some roadblocks with that and made some wrong decisions, but that's been good, and you learn from that. So I think if you can do that, ask a lot of questions. Don't just hire the first person you get along with. Don't just hire the person who's agreeing with everything. Make sure you're asking good questions and doing some good digging, and then hire and fire based on your values. Figure out your core values, and then make sure those people fit and are headed in the same direction with you.
Yeah, that's really, I've never heard that. Hire, what is it? What is it again?
It's fire fast and hire slow.
Fire fast, hire slow. I'll definitely take that with me when I start building out a team. Walk me through, have there been any really, I guess, challenging times with LIV Indy, moments of doubt? Could you walk me through maybe a time that, you weren't sure about all of this and maybe you wanted to go back to a W-2 and go?
Yeah, there's always moments. I think someone told me early on in my seeking, should I go into this business full time and be an entrepreneur? Someone said, well, being an entrepreneur, you're going to have the highest highs you'll ever have, and you'll have the lowest lows you've ever had. So I can attest to that. I've said that that's true. Some of the highs have been extremely high, and they've been really awesome, whether that be income, team, empowering people, all the above. It's been fantastic. Some of the lows have been around people, income. It's just sometimes it goes dry for a bit, and that's really challenging. You have to plan strategically. You have to know how to balance your finances. So I've learned that, for better or for worse. It's been really good for the long-term trajectory. And then also people. I think I learned that I trust too easy early on. So putting responsibilities into people and thinking that they're going to follow through and do it to a level of perfection that you expect yourself to do is just not ever the case. No one's going to care as much as you do as the owner. No one's going to have as much desire to push it forward as much as you do, but that's okay. They don't need to. This isn't their business. As long as they're motivated and believing in the values and understand the vision and executing on their own expectations, set clear performance indicators and track them and talk about them often. Those are key ways to build a team. But yeah, I think some of the valleys have been trusting too much and then finding that they are either taking advantage or just didn't understand.
Mm-hmm. Was it hard for you to learn how to fire people?
Yeah. Give too many second chances. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's good feedback. Okay, so I have a few quick fire questions.
Sure.
Kind of wrapping this up here. So how do you know if you should go into entrepreneurship? You're in entrepreneurship. Obviously, every day is different. Income's not guaranteed. What would you say to someone that's on the fence about that?
I don't think it's for everyone. I think if you have a passion and a desire for building something, if you have a vision and you want to work hard at it and you're able to have an optimistic outlook often and not beat yourself up about something, this might be for you. So I think if you have those kind of, I guess, soft skills, right? Are you a positive person naturally? Do you not take critical feedback personally? Do you just see failures as opportunities? Then might be a good route for you.
On to the next one. Do you have a favorite business book or entrepreneurship book?
Yeah, good question. My favorite right now is Shoe Dog, and it's just the origin story of Nike, and it's a memoir. Awesome book.
Yeah, that audio, I've done it on audiobook. And if, people out there are like runners or you just have a long drive, it's such a good one. And he goes into all of the mistakes that he made in depth. And so it's a very vulnerable one. This is kind of an open-ended question, but why Indy?
Why Indy? Well, ended up here, and it wasn't by accident, but not necessarily by choice, and ended up staying here. And I don't see a reason to leave at this point. The cost of living's fantastic. The business is here. It's growing, doing really well. Friendships made have been fantastic. So I see Indy being home for a long time.
Do you plan to invest out of state or just in Indy?
I'd love to invest out of state. Yep.
Where would be, I'm selfishly asking as an investor, where would you, like, if you had to, gun to your head, you had to invest in another state, in another area, where do you think you'd go?
I would do a vacation rental, and I would do probably a 30A investment down in Florida, or a Gatlinburg bungalow, or maybe even somewhere up in North Michigan.
Yeah, I've actually thought about pretty much all of those. I think that like mixture of personal use with investment.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't realize you can do like a second home loan if you're living there part of the year.
Right.
For 10% down.
Right.
So many cool things in the world of real estate. Last question for you here. Do you have a favorite restaurant in Indianapolis that you want to share with people?
Good question. Well, for LIV Indy and a lot of strategic conversations and really big decisions, I'd have to go with Fat Dan's in Broad Ripple. So just a pile of grease and fat food, and it's just a great burger, great wings, and create some good brain food for you.
Dude, that's such a good call. After the Indy mini marathon, me and my wife went there, and it's like definitely my my secret like indulgence.
Yes, the guilty pleasure food.
The guilty
yes.
Yeah. If you're in Indy and haven't been to Fat Dan's, it's definitely a must.
Highly recommend.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast and sharing a bit about your story, Kenny. It's been awesome to hear.
Thanks, Tyler. Appreciate it.
And for people who are interested in learning more about you and what you're doing, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can shoot me an email at kenny@justlivindy, JUSTLIVINDY.com, or find me on Instagram, find me on Facebook, either one.
Awesome. Good deal. And for you guys out there, I'm on Instagram as well, Tyler_Lingle. Pretty active on all the socials, and happy to chat about entrepreneurship with any of you guys. All right. Thanks, guys, for listening, and we'll be back for another one here soon. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the How You Built This Indy podcast. My hope is that it gave you some insights, inspiration, and some rocket fuel to put your own ideas out there and to get to work building something impactful. If you know of a great founder or entrepreneur that I should definitely have on the show, please reach out. My email is tyler@tylerlingle.com. For more about my work in real estate in terms of residential real estate or real estate investments, visit my website, tyler@tylerlingle.com. That's TYLERLINGLE.com. Thank you guys, and hope you have an awesome week.